Well, we're here for the second edition of the Vodacom Diski Chats. I can't believe that we are already at this stage of the competition. Mike, I mean, Bafana have played now 3 matches, and we are through to the knockout phase of the competition, a round of 16. Very interesting for me because we are going through as the second placed team in the group, behind Egypt, 6 points from 2 matches. How do you reflect? Because the last time we spoke, it was just after the first game against Angola.
Yeah.
How do you reflect on the team's journey? It's been all sorts of stories for our boys in this competition. But I think for me, we must acknowledge that 6 points from 3 matches in a tough African Cup of Nations, it is not child's play, yeah?
Yeah, I'm looking at it as a fan and thinking, in previous years we would say 6 points, we're out second in the group. We had Egypt, Angola, Zimbabwe, not an easy group.
Yeah.
And to get out of the group with 6 points, and we should have got an extra point against Egypt, in my opinion. For me, that's a good group stage. But obviously, we have high expectations for this team now, and that's what I've taken away from the first couple of weeks of this tournament, is that now there's a lot more expectation, and not just from the fans, but from the team themselves. And when I'm watching them walk through the mix zone yesterday, there's like disappointment on the face, and I'm thinking, guys, we just progressed out of the group stages, we've just won a game, like there should be good vibes, but are you feeling like there's so much expectation on the team and they've placed so much expectation on themselves that even a poor performance with 3 points is still not celebrated, really? They want better performances.
But also it's the competitiveness for me that it also talks to, especially to the boys, and the way, as you say, that they've responded. I mean, we had an interview with Tebogo Mokoena, and they were saying, no, we need to be better, we need to step up. But Zimbabwe was always going to be difficult, and maybe before Zimbabwe, let's take it back, because we spoke before the Egypt game.
Yeah.
How was your reflection of that game?
I think we can all admit that the first half they were better than us. That's for sure. But obviously when they went down to 10 men, I felt like we dominated that game, and sometimes in football when teams go down to 10 men, it can actually be more dangerous. I felt like we really stamped our authority there. We didn't let them come out of their half. We created a lot of chances, and then of course we created enough pressure to get a legitimate penalty, in my opinion. So we should have walked out of that game with 1 point at least. So I felt like we did really well. But obviously we look back at that game, and it's because we never finished top of the group, and I think we've seen the path that we're on now at AFCON and the possible teams we can face. Maybe that's also where the disappointment's coming from. Maybe that's where Hugo Broos is looking forward and thinking, okay, wow, now we've got likely Cameroon or Ivory Coast, and then following very likely Morocco. So we've made our tournament exponentially more difficult based on that Egypt result. So I don't think it's necessarily the performance we're disappointed in, more so what it means for our AFCON tournament now.
What was maybe the shortcoming there? Because to the layman, someone watching from home, when you have a 1 minute advantage for 47, 48 minutes, the logical thinking is that, okay, no, we're going to find an opening there. But in a true Egyptian style, you saw how they applied that low block. At some stage, they just left Trezeguet or even Salah up front. At times, all of them were behind the ball. Why was it difficult for Bafana to break them down?
I think historically, Egypt, their club teams, their national team, they are very good defensively, especially in this lower block. It does make it very difficult to break them down, and then obviously they masters at game management as well. The goalkeeper touches his hand against the crossbar, and then he's injured for 2 minutes, and then it just breaks up play a lot, and it makes it very difficult to get momentum. And when they sit that deep, all that ends up happening, I mean, our fullbacks were getting on the ball. I think Sailor and Aubrey must have put in 20 crosses into the box. They're bigger than us physically as well, makes it very difficult, because our strength is to get in behind teams, but they don't give you any more space behind. Extremely difficult. So I think we did create enough, But again, it's crosses into the box that are maybe not our strength. When Machopa came on, we looked more dangerous. Obviously, he's more of an aerial threat. But when it's just Lyle Foster and a couple of the midfielders bombing into the box, yeah, tough to get a goal.
Are we lacking some options in terms of variety in how we can play, taking nothing away from what we've got here? Maybe there are some options looking at the demands also of the games that we have.
I don't know if it's lacking options, because when I look at that bench, especially in our wide players, we've got so many options. When you're thinking Chandre Campbell hasn't even had a look in yet, he's an option. In Quarters only came on for 10 minutes in the last game. Mokwana, Moremi, Abolis, Mofo King has hardly had an impact at this tournament so far. So I don't think it's a lack of options.
Because I felt I saw a place for Mofokeng yesterday, especially as Zimbabwe were chasing the goal.
Yeah.
You know, especially in transitions, and I felt at some stage, okay, MasterChef in the second half could be rested, and we know that the closest that we have in having, we're not blessed with number 10s in this team, but the closest we have after MasterChef is Mofokeng.
Yeah, that's a good observation. I agree with that. I just don't know if Hugo Bruce sees him that way. I think whenever he's made the Mofokeng substitution, it's always been Apollo starts, 20 minutes to go, Mofokeng comes in, and he's always looked at him as the winger that comes off the left-hand side. So he hasn't really looked at Mofokeng as that number 10 option. I think he likes a 10 more of an 8 that connects more so with the midfielders, and we saw that against Egypt when we went with 3 more defensive midfielders, didn't even play with a number 10. Obviously, Sipho sat out of the Egypt game. So his number 10 position is not conventionally a more attacking 10. It's always the connector, someone that connects the midfield to the attack. So it would be interesting if you would ever use Rele in that position, because I don't think he's done that so far.
Looking at the Zimbabwe game, and also taking nothing away from what they needed to achieve, I think for me the rivalry between the two teams, you know, at the hotel where I'm staying, there's a lot of Zimbabwean fans, and they were here, yeah, maybe Kuluma too much, you know. And at some stage I was like, no man, I can't doubt my team. This team has gone 27 matches unbeaten before the Egypt game. What do you make of that noise? There was a lot of noise before this game.
Yeah, well, I mean, we walked into the stadium yesterday, looked at each other, and we both were a little bit nervous. And because we know that they always pose a threat.
Yes.
We hardly ever lose to them, but the threat is always there. And the fact that, imagine if the result had gone the other way, I think we just realized the repercussions and the noise there would have been if we went out. So that's obviously, I think, where a lot of the nerves came from. But I do trust this team. I did think we were going to get it done, but yeah, like the alternative of if we lost, I didn't want to know the noise that we were going to get on social media. And look, we give as good as we take, so I know that we can be noisy as well. But yeah, they definitely posed a threat, and I mean, that first goal was incredible. Yeah, Zim they were a threat every time they came forward, to be honest.
What also made that game difficult? Is it also the understanding and knowing that Arobi plays in SA and he's stopped? I mean, if you look at Arobi was the goalkeeper when Maromo Gallants beat Pirates in the league earlier this season. Msendami has had the better of most of these PSL teams, including both Pirates and also Sundowns. So there are those duels that, you know, Divine Lunga plays with the Sundowns guys. And if we base it to what was happening at Moses Mabhida Stadium, and I think that's where everything is coming from.
Yeah, look, they did ask Hugo Bruce about the form of our players going into this tournament, and he's not very happy with where we are individually as a team. And I think we can all acknowledge the fact that we are not at our best yet. And I feel like we are growing into the tournament, but I don't feel any of our players are really playing at their top peak. I think Mbokazi maybe We can obviously, excluding that one tiny moment for the goal, he's been phenomenal at the tournament. But there's Sailor's also probably been really good. But I can't really put my finger on another player that's really having a standout tournament so far. So I don't know if it's the impact Zim had on us, but I just don't think that we're necessarily in great form, any of our players. And I'm hoping that we grow into the tournament. I mean, we've progressed through the knockout rounds. And we into the next round. So sometimes in tournament football, you don't need to be playing well, and hopefully we grow into the tournament and get better as we go.
But let's talk about Apolis, man of the match performance yesterday, and fortunately I had a chance to watch the repeat of the game earlier in the early hours of this morning, and the boy is balling, and I think for me, Orlando Pirates should be ready. I saw some people talking. I've seen some people talking in this moment. Orlando Pirates should be ready to lose another player.
I don't want to hear that. As a Pirates man, I don't want to hear that. Because obviously we've lost Mbukazi.
Yes.
Really hasn't obviously featured too much at this tournament, but there's been a lot of talk about the speculation about him leaving as well. I mean, Apollos, probably we spoke about it in the first part about him being one of the best players in the PSL so far this season. Yeah, look, the Pirates have signed well. Moremi's playing well, so they've signed extremely well. But yeah, that's when that happens and you come to a major tournament and you play very well and you are the attacking threat that you are, then there will be suitors that will look for your. Yeah, but I'm hoping that Pirates can at least hold him to the end of the season because
until the end of the season, because I think for the Paganias, this is the season when they can see that the league title is calling their name.
Yeah, I don't want to talk too soon. I never want to talk too soon. I want to believe. But,
you don't want to call it.
I don't want to believe. You know,
they usually say it now.
No, I don't. I've been burned too many times. You know, I've had this experience as a Liverpool fan as well. Sometimes when you can see it, you just leave it there and you see what can happen. But
the big second round at home is coming.
Yeah.
But I hear you. You've already lost to Bogazi. That's the spine right there.
I think February is going to be a massive month for everybody. I think if we look at the fixtures in February, there's some massive clashes. I think as soon as these guys get back, it's Pirate Sundowns, it's Pirate Sekokuna, there's Soweto derbies. In February is going to be an incredible
first Soweto derby of the season.
Yeah, and we've got 2 derbies within the first 2 months of coming back. I think there's a lot of big football games to be played post-tournament.
Yeah. Coach Hugo Bruce talks about Lyle Foster. We spoke about Lyle Foster in the previous edition. 2 assists, 2 goals, and the contribution is beyond just the numbers up front. But Coach Hugo is saying the players around him need to help him for him to be more effective. What does it mean?
Yeah, that was an interesting statement he made in the presser. He was basically asked how effective is Lyle apart from the goals and the assists, and he said, look, he does even better when the players connect with him. He's a player that thrives off the players around him. So he says when the players around him are not playing well or not staying close enough to him, you don't see the full impact of Lyle Foster. But I think you touched on it with Apollos. The fact that he's doing pretty well at the tournament so far. Moremi's had a couple, then Lyle looks a much better striker. I mean, I think the one stat coming out now is that he's the top in terms of goal contributions with goals and assists with Lukman in the tournament. And he's still getting slack back home. There's still a lot of people that are not convinced by Lyle Foster.
Well, I don't want to go to that conversation because the last time I said people lack understanding of the game, but you defended them.
No, but I do think with Lyle, it's not a lack of understanding. It's just that he has a lot of critics, and he hasn't won over the South African public yet. But I'm hoping that as this tournament grows, the more goals.
But
it's with strikers. It's always numbers.
Yeah.
It's always numbers. Like it doesn't matter how well you play.
But look at his numbers.
Yeah.
At Bafana.
Yeah.
Actually, he's already on double digits now.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
And I think out of all the current strikers who are active in this, maybe except Pesitao because he's not retired, you know. They are the only strikers who are on double digits.
Sure.
And you look at Lyle Foster's age. For me, Lyle Foster, I can put my hand on the block now and say he will come close to Sean Patet's 29 goals and Benny McCarthy's 31 goals.
Yeah.
When you look at what is happening now with him. So I really don't understand, because you look at our AFCON campaigns, you look at our World Cup qualification campaigns, the boy scores goals.
Yeah. That's true. That's very true. And but then it begs the question: why is he not won over the public? Because we see it, the social media, public sentiment, or whatever. Mm-hmm. Do you feel South Africans are convinced with Lyle Foster yet? I mean, you've said it, when you speak highly of him, or you might say he's done well, there's a lot of critique around his performance.
Yeah.
But the numbers talk, and for me, he's having a good tournament, and he's had a great impact. So it's interesting to see why public sentiment around him is not necessarily all that positive.
Yeah, well, I must say it's it makes one really thing, but we must talk about our skipper, Ronan Williams, the role that he plays in this team. And yesterday, again against Zimbabwe, he came in big time for the team.
Yeah, there was a big save again. I think he did it in the World Cup qualifier. If it wasn't for that big save 10 minutes ago, we wouldn't be going to the World Cup.
Yes.
He did it again yesterday. He's a man for big moments. And even for the second goal, it was a great save.
He had saved it already.
Yeah, and then obviously bounced off Aubrey into the back of the net. So it's like two big saves. I asked him after the game as well, because against Angola, he kept us in the game until the goal came. He's having a good tournament, and we still have conceded 4 goals, which is saying something about our defence. When our goalkeeper is having to keep out a lot of chances, I said to him, you're having a good tournament, but would you prefer to be getting less shots on your goal? Of course, he would rather keep clean sheets and have a quiet day at the office.
Do you know that 4 goals is the whole number of goals we considered in the 7 matches from the last AFCON?
Yeah.
So, true to what you are saying, it says more about our defense here.
And Saylor and Mbukazi are having good tournaments. So you're asking, what's actually happening? It's obviously not. It's maybe as a unit, we're not functioning that well as a unit, because individually our players are dealing with their one-on-one battles very well. Everyone's going to say Mbukazi, the one piece, the one goal. He's made one mistake in 3 games.
That must
look, I would have gone all the way to the stands if you did that to me. So, no, look, he's made one mistake in 3 games. He hasn't put a foot wrong until then. So I think it's as a unit, we're just not, including the holding midfielders, including the attacking players. It's when there's defensive issues, it's never a case of 1 or 2 players.
Yes, you feel that maybe there in that moment, or it's the counter pressing. Maybe credit to Zimbabwe for their good counter pressing, and also I felt that maybe in that moment we were not compact enough for Msendami to move around our players quickly like that.
Yeah, it's always hard to pinpoint, and I'll never ever point fingers at a single mistake, because when you concede 4 goals in 3 games, it's a bigger issue than an individual error. We've had a great defensive record up until here. We've conceded also a couple penalties as well, so it's like, we are conceding more chances than we should be, but I don't think it's a massive issue. And I feel like in the bigger games where we sit with a more defensive approach, that maybe we'll be better defensively. Yeah,
I think the good thing now, obviously still waiting, but strong feeling on my side that it's going to be Cameroon. There's 6 days for us to prepare, to rest and prepare. And I think in terms of prioritization processes, the recovery, this is a good time for us. And also, Coach Hugo says that also enough time to sort out our defensive work.
Yeah, I mean, I'm exhausted and I haven't been playing. I mean, we've been literally, when you don't stop while you're here. So I can just imagine for the players with the travel, and it was a quick turnaround.
Actually, if you didn't call me, I was going to sleep today.
Yeah, so I mean, we're not even playing and we're feeling tired at this tournament because you're just on the go all the time. But the turnaround between Egypt and Zimbabwe was extremely tight. At least now we've got a bit more time, whereas Cameroon still has to play their last group game. And they can't afford to rest players either. They need to get a result to try to win their group, I think. So we do have a rest advantage over them. But yeah, those few extra days is going to help massively. I think the Bafana team also needs some time to. Feels like a lot of disappointment in the camp. I mean, we saw like a lot of bad body language after the game. So I'd love for the mentality to start shifting again, to get some positivity again, to head into that game as a big one.
This young man, Daniel Msendami, what a player. And he tells us in the post-match yesterday to say maybe now it's time for him to step up to a bigger team. And I say that his contract is and his.
Have you got some rumors? Have you got some rumors for us?
Well, I think the Voda-sponsored teams they are within reach.
They're sniffing.
Yeah. They are within reach, and he actually. There's a clip. I think let's play the clip.
Definitely, we play for that. We play to go for to top leagues, play for big teams. But definitely, I'll keep on pushing. I'll push very hard, and I'll hope as time goes, I'll get a better offer somewhere where I can go on a higher level and showcase my talent.
What's the state of your contract now?
My contract, I don't want to talk much about it, but yeah.
There was speculation of Chiefs and Pirates for you in the off-season. Was it just speculation, or was there something concrete happening?
For me, the way I had it, I think it was concrete, but I didn't put it on mine, because if they really were interested in me, they were going to take me. But for me, I will just keep on pushing. I will go where I'm needed, and I will try and push very, very, very hard and try to score more goals in the league and continue playing well like this.
So your contract is not expiring soon, like in June?
Yeah, my contract is expiring soon, but I'm not yet clear about what is happening exactly. But I will keep on pushing. Yeah, definitely. The league has prepared me well, because it's also a top league. So I was very ready, and playing in AFCON, for me, it was an extra gear. And for even myself, I pushed myself up again. I put another extra gear. So for me, it's a very, very big honor, a very, very big achievement for me. But I think I'll keep on growing from this tournament and try to do better for the future.
So, as you hear him, it's possible.
And I know which team you should choose.
Don't be greedy.
There's one team that's at the top of the table. That's all I'm saying.
Why are you greedy? You've got all the top talent there.
Yeah, but as you said, there's teams they want our players now. Apollos, they want Rele. So there's only one club in Soweto that's top of the table. That's all I'm going to say.
And also, when you look at his former coach being there as well.
Yeah, say less.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What do you like about this boy?
Direct, very, very direct. I think Orlando Pirates have always, I'm not really saying that he's signing there. No, I like him, he's direct, scores goals, creates chances. What more do you need from a wide man?
And yesterday, it's just that unfortunately for him, he was up against Sailor, but he was pushing us. He was pushing us in that game, and some of the openings, especially, he knew that he cannot beat Sailor one-on-one. So they were overloading that side. Yeah.
Look, Sailor's the best one-on-one defender in Africa, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Hakimi might give you more going forward, but as a fullback, you can put on one hand the amount of times I've seen a player go past Sailor. Incredibly 1v1, so I understand when a winger comes up against him to find other solutions to go around to penetrate, because I've never seen somebody go past Sailor with ease. His recovery, even if you do beat him, his recovery is incredible. So I didn't expect him to shine against Sailor, but I still found a way to be aggressive and found a way to create chances.
What is one thing, if I were to put you in Coach Hugo's shoes and say, tactically, because knockout football is different from the group stages, but tactically, if we are to make it like this, because you've watched Cameroon, I've watched 2 matches of Cameroon, first the Gabon game, and a game that I feel that so far is the best game of the tournament.
Great advert.
Yes, great advert for African football. What would be the best way for Bafana to turn things around there?
I think if anybody knows Cameroonian football, it's Hugo Broos himself. So I would never. He's proven to set up our team in tournament football very successfully. Somebody who's won this tournament already. I'm sure he's got a plan for this team. He knows Cameroonian football, and he knows how to win in tough tournament fixtures. And we've got Ronwen Williams. So going the full distance, going 120 minutes, penalty shootouts, I back our man every day of the week. So that's also in our back pocket, is that we don't have to necessarily go out and attack teams, because I don't mind us going to penalties and Ronwen pulling us through. He did it in the last tournament as well.
But now I also see there's reduced COSAFA region, PSL influence in this tournament.
Yeah.
When you look at Zambia has already been knocked out. Zimbabwe is also. It's strange that you have 2 points and you could be in the knockout phase.
Yeah, I mean, this is the tournament with the best third place finisher. So you do get an extra lifeline. But I think if those top teams that have finished top of their groups, yeah, they wouldn't mind if you're playing against a team that's only picked up 2 points, maybe you think you got an easier route into the quarterfinals.
But I remember you were in the presser, and also you also attended the game. We still have the Lord Kambala, we still have the Pelembes, at Mr. Dove also in this tournament. And it's just said that from a COSAFA point of view, we are possibly, out of 7 teams, looking at maybe talking about only 3 or 2 that will be in the knockout phase.
All I care about is Bafana. Bafana is flying the flag for Southern Africa at the moment. Mm-hmm. So, look, obviously for Southern Africa, you would want more teams, but where all their best players are playing in South Africa, the resources are all in South Africa, and so, I mean, Bafana are the flagship of the Southern African sides at the moment.
Having monitored and maybe just watched, even maybe from your hotel, what is the challenge? What is proving to be a challenge for some of the COSAFA teams?
I think it's always a resource thing. I think we've seen it over the years. The leagues can't be as competitive as the South African league, and that's why a lot of their best players are forced to move to the PSL in order to sort of further their careers. It's always going to be a resource thing. And the strength of the league and the TV rights and everything in South Africa means that their local leagues will never be able to be that competitive with South Africa, and so their best players leave their country.
Obviously, Mali is already through, and so is Egypt, Bafana, Morocco, Algeria, and Nigeria. I guess not a surprise to see that lineup.
Yeah, there's not too many surprises there. I haven't seen. I think Mozambique's probably been the biggest upset in the tournament so far. I can't really think of too many others. Yeah, it's played out as we thought it would. Obviously, we would have liked to top our group, but I think Egypt were also odds favourites to top our group, so no major surprises in the tournament.
But let me tell you something. In Egypt in 2019, Benin were the third placed team. They knocked out Morocco. Morocco were in our group, coached by Hervé Renard. Knocked them out in the last 16. Bafana, in that tournament, we only won 1 game against Namibia. We went to the third place against the host Egypt. They had won all their matches. We knocked them out 10 because lodge goal. So, which tells you, whether you qualify as the third placed team, anything can happen in the knockout phase. What makes knockout phase different to the group stage?
It's definitely the pressure. It's definitely the fact that it's a once-off game. There's no turning back from there. Obviously, you have the likelihood that you go to penalties if it's a draw. So there's so many different factors, and you can play the game in a very different way. You can sit back and hold on for a draw if you feel like you are an underdog or a team's superior to you. You can sit back and wait for them. You can hit teams on the counter because they might look more for to press you into getting a goal. So yeah, it's completely different, and That's why tournament football doesn't really matter how you get the result, just need to get the result. That's why I was a little bit surprised about just our body language and our real disappointment when I think we're into the next round. That's all that matters. Get the result. We've seen this before.
I mean, our team is on 6 points. There are teams on 3 points, they're going through. Teams on 2 points, they're going through. And I think that consideration needs to also to be looked at. So we have more points now than we had back in Cote d'Ivoire.
And you remember how Ivory Coast was in the group stages of that tournament as well. They were not the most convincing. And look at the tournament, they went on to win the tournament. It's never about how you start the tournament. It's always about how good you can be in those knockout rounds and can you manage the big moments. And it's going to be a lot of luck along the journey as well. You never win the tournament without a bit of luck. And the right players at the right time coming, the big match players coming to the fore at the right moments.
Who's winning the tournament? Based on what you've seen
so far, yeah. So I said Senegal before the tournament, before anything. And now after watching Ivory Coast against Cameroon here live, Ahmad, the form he's in, hard to look past them. They've become my new favourite for the tournament. But Morocco, I mean, they're looking dangerous as well.
Morocco received a serious test against Mali. And there's a feeling that they were exposed there, but now there's also a Hakimi factor. He's back.
Yeah. And the country, I mean, I think we tried to get home after the game last night. We couldn't, we sat in traffic for like an hour last night because the country the way they celebrated last night's win. There's a massive vibe, and that force of the home nation, it definitely carries a lot of power. So Morocco can't be looked past either.
So you'll be heading back home soon?
Yeah. Tomorrow, back to South Africa, with the intention of coming back when, not if, we get to the semi-finals.
In the semi-finals?
Yeah.
So that would mean...
We need to beat Cameroon and possibly Morocco. And then I'll be back.
But it's possible. It's possible. And if there's one team Morocco doesn't want to face here, it is South Africa.
100%. I think that's the case with most teams here. We are the dark horses. South Africans gave me a bit of slack when I called us the dark horses, and they think we're tournament favourites. But I definitely think we are dark horses that can beat anybody.
Well, I wanted to pick you on something that you were talking about earlier. One area that we didn't discuss was the change of Aubas. Coming in for Spepelos Tole, and the coach spoke about that moment. Would you continue with Aubas, looking at also the physical strength that will be at play in the next game?
Yeah, I think people forget that Sithole was out for a long time leading up to this tournament. So I do understand that he's not in the form that we knew him from the last AFCON. The last AFCON, he was an absolute monster. We haven't seen that same Sithole in this tournament so far, and I think Hugo Bruce acknowledged that yesterday. And I think he actually almost admitted the fact that there's a good chance Aubas will start in the next game. But that's what I love about this team, is that the guys that have come off the bench have made massive impacts. And I think Aubas has shown in that game that he's ready to start. So I think we could see Aubas Tebza in the next game.
Okay. Michael, thanks so much.
Thank you, brother. Yeah, carry the team.
Travels.
Yeah, hopefully I'll see you again in the semi-finals.
Yeah. We're here for the next few days, and then we're off to Rabat.
Yeah.